All right, going live this afternoon, Friday afternoon. Happy Friday, all of you guys. You made it one more time. You made it one more time. And that is something I think we can celebrate. Congratulations to you guys for making it one more time, one more week. I mean, that's all it is, right? Is you just keep in your mind that you just hang in there and eventually it's going to be Friday. Yo, what is up, Daniel Barry? Daniel Barry, always dropping in to say hi. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it. And sports highlights. Look, who can give a shit about sports right now when what's going on with the politics, right? Watching the president drafting his cabinet is better than watching the NFL draft. This shit, like I said on the thing, this next couple of years is going to be lit as hell, man. Just straight up. And I didn't invent that. I wish I did, but I'm pretty sure I'm copying that from the Squirrel Tribe, which is a good channel if you want to watch a channel about politics. I watch Squirrel Tribe quite a bit, but howdy, guys. But oh yeah, it's like Trump is picking people specifically knowing that the people he's picking are going to just cause people to lose their minds. That's what I'm saying, nerdy. Who needs the NFL draft when we got this shit going on? And I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Even though I might be a bit, whatever, as far as not your typical Republican. But yeah, I'm here for it. If he's gonna do some crazy ass shit, then I will stand by and laugh. And that's what it looks like is going on too. He's just like just today we heard he wants to get Tucker Carlson in as his press guy. I mean, come on. Can you imagine this? Like reporters asking bullshit questions to Tucker. I mean, that shit is not going to go over well. You know what I mean? Because I mean, Tucker is not going to have it. He's going to tell them stuff that they don't want to hear. And yeah. And after 4 years of watching Marie Jean-Pierre, I think that's her name, it'd be nice to watch somebody doing that job that actually, could string a freaking sentence together and just not sound like they've been dropped on their head a lot or something. I mean, talk about the ultimate DEI hire, that's didn't earn it, to quote Elon Musk. She was terrible. Even the freaking lion redhead before her was way better. Zaki or whatever was way better at the job. This woman was horrible. And it was funny because she would just blatantly tell you stuff that anyone with 3 brain cells to rub together just knew was lies. And then when the reporters would try and call her out, she'd just double down. And it's like, woman, have you no freaking sense of anything? I mean, how can you be so dead inside? Steven Crowder for president. Well, a lot of people on X are saying he should pick Alex Jones. Can you imagine Alex Jones as press secretary? Oh my God. Heads would have exploded. I mean, that would have just been the end of it, You'd have had liberals out there freaking committing seppuku. Half of MSNBC and all those reporters would have been like diving off of bridges. It's like that would have been insane. Insane. But hey, so apparently maybe next Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday, might be taking the wife to the range. My uncle wants to go too, and we got a really good range, about a 45-minute drive from here, way out in the middle of the boonies, where you can do pistol, rifle, shotgun, whatever. So might be a nice day to go out there and put a few rounds through my AR and AK. I'm not going to bother with taking the shotgun because I've fired 870 so much. I know the deal, I don't really need any practice with that. I know how an 870 12 gauge works just fine. But, getting a few rounds through the AK-74 and the AR 300 Blackout sounds like a good time. And the wife, of course, would be going to fire my rifles, but also her Glock, because she's got a Glock. So she'd be more interested, I think, in the pistols. But that's cool, man. That's cool. So maybe we'll do that. And right now I'm going through my things because I'm finding some really cool shit though, like a bunch of Atreides troopers, a bunch of World War One. This World War One? Apparently well, not apparently. I have STLs for Confederate and Union troops, but it's a what if kind of thing, like the Confederacy held out. So you've got Confederate and Union troops, but they're World War One, they're modern age, that just appealed to me, obviously, because I was like, well, that's kind of cool, And then, of course, I don't know what game I would ever use these guys in, but you got to have your old classic sideline, right? Come on, focus it. You just gotta. And I've got a couple squads of these guys. For those of you who don't know, these are the original Space Marine. They were called the Thunder Warriors. And they're actually big too. Like next to a normal Space Marine, they're a little bigger. Because apparently they were much bigger, but they were also unreliable. They were given to, dying very young of cancers and stuff like that. So. Oh, Kyle Rittenhouse was talking some mad shit on X a couple days ago, too. Like somebody said something kind of saucy and he fired back. And I was like, I saw the name, but at first I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? I had to double check it to make sure it was actually Kyle Rittenhouse. And it was. And he was talking shit because, somebody was talking about if there was any justice in the world, Kyle Rittenhouse would be in prison and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how retarded are you people? That was obviously self-defense. They tried him in a court that was totally stacked against him in every way, where like everyone involved in that courtroom was anti-Kyle Rittenhouse. They all wanted to see that kid burn. And yet he walked out of there a free man. And that's it. Let it go. Drop it. Let it go. Move on with your life. You tried. You did your best. But you couldn't get the kid. And now he's, doing his thing. And it's like, I know you guys want me not to despise you. Or maybe you like that I despise you. I don't know what your problem is. But it's like, it was so apparent to everyone the injustice that was going on with that whole situation. And then to have actors like Mark Ruffalo or whatever, being all like, RIP, the name of the guy that was, a convicted pedophile and shit. And it's like, really, dude? Really, Mark? Like, rather than being interested in, actual US law and justice and stuff like that, you're going to, RIP a guy that was in jail for having sex with like a 5-year-old boy. It's like, the F is wrong with some of these people? It just don't make any sense. It's just like, how is this possible? Like, what is your absolute, to quote the one guy, what is your major malfunction? Because it's like, something is not right here. Something is not right here. If you think that Kyle was in the wrong, you are out of your damn mind. Nothing he did was illegal. Everything that they said he had done that was against the law, he had not done. It was all bullshit. It was all just a bunch of people trying to throw a young kid into prison because he had the audacity to defend himself after he was attacked by a mob of freaking pedophiles and wife beaters. I mean, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but hey, he did us all a favor. Everyone he took out, that was a favor. They needed to be tuck out. And that might be a hot take, but it is what it is. Like, how's this guy been in prison twice for being whatever, and yet now he's out on the street protesting? How is that? There's a question to ask yourself. Why are so many pro-left Antifa commie guys into that sort of shit? It's like every time they catch one of these Antifa dudes, like as often as not, it turns out that the guy had been in prison either for beating his wife or some underage stuff that he shouldn't have been doing, and it's like, it's almost like a joke, violence solves everything. That's true. Yeah, Alex Jones, we were just talking about that. That was all over Twitter yesterday. People were like, pick Alex Jones. And what I was saying is you would have like these lefty reporters like self-deleting, jumping off of bridges and stuff, because Alex Jones would absolutely just wreck their faces. You know what I mean? Like they'd ask some stupid question and he would just be like, boom. And they wouldn't know what to do about it because, but yeah, I was kind of going off on the Rittenhouse thing, but not just the Rittenhouse thing, the whole like lefty commie thing, in that, why is it that every time they arrest some leftist communist Antifa scumbag, the guy's always got a record for wife beating or diddling little kids? What's up with that? It's like, what is it that about the leftist movement, the commies and all that, what is it about that movement that attracts that particular sort of guy? And it happens like I said, it happens so much that you're almost like, no one's surprised anymore. It's like, so-and-so Antifa members were captured. This guy's got a previous record for blah, 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 all this horrible shit. And like, no one is surprised. You know, no one is surprised. And it's like, you know, like I could never be a part of the political movement just because of the people that are in it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think our dear brothers in the North were having some kind of debate about what they want to call maps. It's like, what's the debate? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, nah, that can't be allowed to happen. Yeah, violence, that can't be allowed to happen. I mean, they can try it, but somebody's going to have to put a stop to it. I mean, this is not Carthage, and we will not be sacrificing our children to demonic gods, at least any more than we already have been. And that kind of shit you're talking about right there, that crosses lines that cannot be allowed to be crossed. You know, that's all. And it's like, I mean, now I've said what I said, and I mean what I said too. You know, can't be allowed, just cannot. Those kind of people, they need to be dealt with in some way. You know, prison's okay. Prison's good, but if a wood chipper has to be involved, that's fine too. You know, uh, just either way, it just can't be. It's just not acceptable, is what I'm saying. You know, in any humane society, it's not acceptable. Oh, it's from the window flashing on the spaceship. But now that I look at it, it's kind of cool, though, right? Not everywhere though. That's the good thing. That's the good thing. Crafting Gamer. There's still most of America. I'm telling you right now, the majority of America is still good. And believe it or not, but it's a fact. The majority of America is still basically good people who are just pretty much out here living their life, paying their bills, and just trying to get along, right? The problem is there's like these cancerous clusters, let's call them blue cities, that exist within America, and they're pretty much like everything that's wrong with America, you know. But if you travel into middle America or outside any blue city an hour, you're going to find good, decent, hardworking people who are not fans of any of this stuff we're talking about. That's what you'll find. And so don't let the vocal minority that you see on TV, like the women shaving their heads, for every one of those crazy chicks shaving their heads, there are literally tens, maybe even hundreds of millions of women in America that are looking at that shit and laughing and being like, look at these idiots, you know, want no part of it. For every woman you see marching in a pro-abortion parade, banging drums like a bunch of pagans, there are hundreds of thousands or even millions of women who would have nothing to do with that. So I had this problem. My wife and I had to talk about it. She sat me down and she's like, look, because I was starting to get really anti-woman. And it was because I was watching all these videos online of all these crazy ass bitches being crazy ass bitches. And me and the wife sat down, and, she's like, look, you have to remember those are a fringe of a fringe. They're not even enough to like matter electorally, which this election proved. If all the pro-abortion women and all the weirdo women in America actually were of a number that mattered, there wouldn't have been a red wave the way there is. Your average female is a decent human being. It's just the weirdos online that make some people, myself, I was guilty of it there for a minute, think that women are crazy. But in effect, they are still crazy, but they're not evil. Most of them. How you doing there?
Fascinating topic, sir.
Oh, like I said, this next 4 years is going to be lit. I mean, who needs the NFL draft when we got Trump picking cabinet members?
Look, at the end of the day, we both know media puts what gets eyeballs on it. If it doesn't get eyeballs, the media is not going to waste time with it. And what is going to get more eyeballs? A crazy chick shaving her head and saying, I'm not going to man and baby, or a rational one saying, hey, everything's fine, and my husband and I are, having babies and living a traditional life. Which one gets eyeballs, right?
Right.
Now, I read an interesting thing. ABC, after the drubbing they took over their Kamala open bias, Disney is freaking out, and they're trying to find conservative voices to put on ABC News, and they're having a hard time because their company's just full of progressive liberal people, and they kind of drove out or fired all their conservatives over the last 5 years. So now they're looking for people like crazy to try and get some voices, because they've come to the realization over 50% of the population leans conservative and wants nothing to do with this new world they're trying to create.
Or at the very least, centrist.
Well, that's the thing. The central people are like, nope.
We want nothing to do with that. The majority of our country is centrist or center right, compared to these. The hardcore left guys. They're such a minority. They don't even know.
But they have a huge piece of the media in their pocket over the years.
Yeah.
And they have allowed their soapbox. They cry for equity, but their soapbox is bigger than everybody else's, and they don't want to give everybody else a bigger soapbox to be equal, right?
Well, I think it's the San Francisco, or was it LA Times, the one that's owned by the Chinese billionaire. He wanted to bring in more. He's not from China. He's American, but from Chinatown. Right. Okay. So this lovely Chinatown you see around you. But anyway, he wanted to bring in more conservative views, and he wanted to run an article that showed Trump and Kamala side by side on the page and what their actual policies were, right? And his editorial staff, like some of them quit, and they were like saying, we're not going to do this. So he just fired them all.
Yeah, well done.
And I literally he's going to hire balanced people. He said the news is the news, but the problem is news and editorialism have kind of merged into this one entity. Yes. And he said, no, he said, there's a place for editorialism, opinion pieces. But he said, if you're going to say what's the news, it's got to be non-biased, factual, trustworthy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. Having worked in news, I can tell you that it isn't. So I'd love to see that come back. But my Facebook feed right now is full of all my lefty friends just fucking pissing their pants and moaning and crying, and the world's coming to an end, and Chicken Little, the sky's falling, and they don't even pay attention to what happened or what has happened. They just listen to the scare tactics and then think those are facts, and they're crying out the most ludicrous shit. A friend of mine sent me a link. See, I told you, and I looked at it. It was the joke Trump made about him. Oh, I can't run again. Oh, unless you want me to, and then we'll see what we can do about it. Like, he's making a joke. It's clearly a fucking joke. But now it was a bad joke. It was a stupid time to make the joke, and he should have thought about that one a bit better. But now the left's going, oh, Trump's going to suspend the 21st Amendment or whatever the fucking amendment is. And I had to explain to my friend, they would have to change the Constitution to do that. And that would require an amendment to an amendment.
4/5 of the states would have to agree.
This is so impossible to pull off, even if he has Congress and the House on his side. This is so hard to pull off, and he knows that. So relax. It was a stupid joke. But they're like taking it like, he's going to declare martial laws on January 6th.
Well, you know who I blame, though, is the media, because the media has terrified these people.
It has.
It has lied to them so much and they've believed it for whatever reason, that they are now legit terrified.
Yep.
And it's like, calm down.
Breathe.
Yeah, take a breath. All the bad things you think are going to happen.
Go do that touch grass thing you like to tell us to do all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like all the bad things you think are going to happen aren't going to happen for real.
No.
You're going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Just relax, And we dealt with it for 4 years, and we weren't out burning shit. We just went to work and kept paying taxes, and now it's your turn, because that's how America works.
Oh, but dude, the way they talk about the January 6th event like it was a fucking armed revolution. Meanwhile, there was an entire summer of them burning cities to the ground, and that was okay. But this peaceful protest where one person died who was shot in the face by a cop. It's like no.
Shot in the face by a cop.
Yeah, I love the footage of the riot where they're respecting the velvet ropes as they go through the Capitol Rotunda, stuff like that. It's like, come on, guys. Like,
or the film that actually shows the Capitol Police opening the doors and ushering them in. It's that's not how insurrections work.
No, it's not. But that's how they've been told to think, and that's how they're going to think, right? And that's
Mockingbird has brain damaged our fellow citizens. I think a lot of them, they like to say that Trump supporters are cultists, but they need to take a long look in the mirror, because half of these people are about ready to drink out of the barrel Kool-Aid and meet, the UFO in the frickin' tail of Haley's Comet. Because
I can't do that. The sneakers and tracksuits alone made it impossible for me to really, this is the look we're going for? Well, I'm out of the cult. Bye, guys. Sorry, I can't do this look. No, we're going to chemically castrate ourselves too. Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm going to go. I can't see the aliens wanting me to dress like this, wear these sneakers, or make my balls inefficient. So I got to go. You're good luck.
Why would the aliens want you to be castrated?
Well, why?
That makes no sense. But then again, it's cult shit, and it's not supposed to make sense. So.
Well, we're gearing up for our bullshit in Canada, because we're now in they have to call an election within the next year. So nice. We're gearing up. It's getting ready.
I'll tell you what, watching Canadian or the UK Parliament is so wild, because the American Parliament, it's all like somebody does something. It's like they drone on and then they vote yes, no, and nobody says anything. But you watch like the Canadians, and they're all like yelling at each other and harumphing and here. And I mean, they're going off and shit. It's like me and my wife was watching it, and we're both like, damn, they're active. It's like somebody says something, and it's not a direct shot, but it's kind of a oblique shot at somebody, and everybody's like, yeah. And then the other side's like, oh,
yeah. But sadly, it is as broken as your system. But this is the thing. Okay, so like I saw that comment someone made earlier about New York doing what they did, and California does what it does. And then these same people, I will see people arguing that there can be no lethal's in this green room, by the way. Let's in the green room.
Oh,
and they'll be like, we need to get rid of the Electoral College. You get rid of the Electoral College, and New York and California decide how your country is from now on. And that's not something you want.
Except I know. Election. Huh? Trump won the popular vote.
Yes, and that should be the point that should show you. He won the popular vote, plus he won enough of the other votes in the Electoral College to offset the massive bias of California and New York. That is why you need to keep... Surprisingly, the founding fathers and the people who set up your system had a vision to the future, and they understood how this shit could be abused. So they put those little checks and balances in. But everyone wants to get rid of the checks and balances now.
Yeah, it turned out they weren't idiots.
Yeah, it turns out they were smart. And if you get rid of all of your checks and balances, you're going to basically do to your political system what Clinton did with Glass-Steagall in the 90s to your economic system. And you don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that.
Michael says he hopes we don't have to annex you guys. We will never annex Canada unless they beg us to.
As my buddy, who is a ranger, said clearly, we'll take your cities in a week. We'll never take your country because you'll just blend into the woods like assholes and fuck with us endlessly.
Oh, all those First Nation guys would just head into the freaking
and plus all our Canadian forces are trained in that terrain. You guys, no offense, love you, you're wonderful people, but you couldn't handle insurrectionists in a fucking desert. How the fuck are you going to handle us when we have trees?
Our defense, when I was over there, we handled them.
Yeah, wow.
In just over 100 hours, they were handled.
Yeah, I also think it's more our politicians hamper our military by placing insanely stupid rules. Like whenever Vietnam came up, we had rules that we couldn't make their MiGs unless they were in certain areas. Because
rules of engagement. They're just stupid.
It's like, why? One guy finally just decided, like, okay, you know what? You're going to put these ridiculous rules. We'll just lure them out, kill them all, and then go bomb stuff, because why not?
Because we were never meant to win that war, nor any other war we fought since.
I know.
Because the people that make all the big money don't make money if we win the war. And if we invade Canada, we'll hold Toronto, no problem. But everything in the woods will be like Red Dawn.
Oh fuck yeah! It'll make the fucking second Iraq occupation look like y'all went to Disneyland. I'm not.
Well, I was just thinking the first Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what you're going to send troops in there.
I know.
Natives creeping around those tigers and shit.
Natives working side by side with well-trained Canadian Armed Forces. Good luck.
Well, when I said natives, I meant all of you.
Look at it this way.
I wasn't saying natives.
One of the things NATO always tends to agree on, and we tend to prove in war games, is that pound for pound, the Canadian is one of the best trained soldiers in the world.
Yeah, you guys hold your weight. You definitely,
because we don't got the equipment you guys got. We ain't got all this great equipment, so we have to learn to use our soldiers as the fighting force, right?
Yeah,
real good at it.
Above your weight, and always have. Those desert bastards fucked with every empire. Look, like Let's says, had we removed all rules of engagement and rolled through Iraq and Afghanistan, all that shit, they wouldn't even exist right now.
Heck, we almost won Nam, and that's with the ridiculous rules.
Yeah. If you read Ho Chi Minh and Nguyen Gape's biographies, they both talk about how they were like within a week of surrendering to the United States 3 different times. But then every time we were doing a thing that was making them think they should surrender, we'd stop. Operation Linebacker almost had them surrendering, and then we stopped. Because it turns out if you just unleash, nonstop B-52 carpet bombing on a little strip of a country, they get a choice, surrender or just be obliterated. But then we stop because that's what we do. Yeah, we haven't actually waged serious war since World War II. You're right. Now, World War II, we were badasses. Canadians were bad at it. Asses. The British were pretty good. But yeah, see, it's like the American civilian population and our lack of having a taste for war anymore is the biggest thing. That's why, like the Iraq war, they wanted it over as quick as possible. Because they didn't want to deal with protests and shit like that. The one I was in. But yeah, they don't declare war anymore. They call it a police action and then do whatever the hell they want. Well, Korea, if we had not been forced to stop by the president, we would have ran them bastards all the way back to Beijing. I mean, they did push us back for a while when the Chinese first come across the frontier. But as soon as we got our feet under us, we were literally massacring them. And we could easily push their asses back to China and on forward, But we decided to stop at the 54th, which meant American troops actually had to withdraw to the 54th because we were north of that shit,
Yeah.
running amok. And it also proved once and for all that the Sherman tank is better than the T-34. Because in Korea, Sherman tanks engage T-34 85s, and the kill ratio is insane. It's like the Sherman won 9 out of 10 times. Just freaking smoked it. So there you go, all you guys that think the T-34 was the greatest tank ever made in World War II or wherever. No, it's a Sherman. The M4 Sherman is the best tank of World War II.
T-34 would be much better if, I don't know, Russia had a decent economy and could actually produce tanks properly.
They produced that tank exactly the way they wanted to, Left.
Cheap and easy, yes.
Cheap and easy, and not designed to last very long.
Nope.
Because they didn't expect them to last very long. But
no,
people like to knock on the freaking, like, people like to talk shit about the Bronson, as they want to call it. Like, but if you look up like number of tanks destroyed versus crew members that survived, the Sherman is like just out of every other tank's league. You know, like your tank could get hit, and chances of you surviving it were actually like up above 80%, even if the tank got wrecked. And then, you know, if you win the battle, you just drag that bitch back to the back line and patch it back up. They're running with like Ford or Chevy engines in them, so it's not even like, you know, whatever, right? Put that shit back together and go with it. Well, it was because the Shermans had the or am I talking about the right tank? The Sherman tank, yeah, the M4. They had spring-loaded hatches, so when you hit the button, the hatches would pop open. You hit the lever, and the hatches would pop open, and they were big hatches, so they were designed to make it really easy for crew members to get out of it. And a lot of other tanks, especially the German tanks, just weren't. They were over-engineered. They had small hatches. So if they got hit and caught on fire, a lot of times the crew would die on the inside.
Yep.
And then people need to remember, too, that the Sherman tank was not designed to be a tank versus tank fighter in the first place.
No.
It was designed to be a general-purpose tank that could support infantry, could engage armor, could do, I mean, it could do a little bit of everything. It just wasn't super great at any one thing. And yeah, until they start upgunning them and, you know, Sherman jumbos and all that. But
even then,
was a proper war at first. Yeah. And they had to get rid of MacArthur because, you know, homeboy was like, they already had the B-52s with the nukes stationed in Guam, I think. And that homeboy was like straight up talking about just nuking the shit out of China. And
nuking the border of China just to
done anything about it.
Oop.
They just had to eat those nukes and be happy. Because I mean, but you know, whatever. Yeah. And when they finally called the armistice, we were pushing the Koreans up against the Chinese border. We were whipping their asses. And yeah, there's also, you can look up tank battles between the Pershing, which was our heavy tank that never really saw but one combat in World War II, but in Korea.
Yeah.
When we managed to get a bunch of those over there, those things are just smoking T-34s like nothing.
It was also not really ready for World War II. It had so many problems back then.
Well, that's the way it is when you're building something that complicated, you know?
Yeah.
Power armor. The Sherman, yeah. The Sherman was, you know, which is why Canadians use Shermans. The freaking British use Shermans. Like all the allies, the freaking Russians use Shermans because we sent them Shermans. Because the Sherman tank, in the end, turned out to be the most survivable, most general purpose tank built. And they were
every now and then you guys get it right. It's true.
Well, actually, I think a big part of the Sherman was designed by a Canadian guy.
There you go.
Like the Garand was designed by a Canadian guy. And we know what Patton said about the Grand. That it was the defining weapon of the war. That it was the weapon that won that war.
It was a good weapon.
Right. I mean, when you're fighting dudes with bolt action rifles and you got semi-auto and you can just lay down so much fire so quick, it's like whatever. Satya, how you doing? Yeah, it went great. It was just every 2 months I have to go see a doctor. He asks me how I'm doing. He checks my shoulder out, checks my neck and everything like that because I've got, a lot of metal all up in here. And then he writes me, or he's a dispensary. So he don't even have to write the scripts. They just fill them there. And then I come home. But yesterday, my driver was a good old boy who grew up in like Ocoee, Florida or something. And he liked fishing and hunting. So the hour trip there and the hour trip back was great. Because we were just talking about our favorite rifles for hunting and telling stories about going to the beach and fishing and all that sort of thing. Plus, he had family up in Eastern Tennessee. So when I started talking about Appalachia, he's like, oh, yeah, I know all about it. So, a good time, just a good time. I offered to tip the guy, but he wouldn't take any money. And I was like, look, I'll Venmo you. I'll go get cash, whatever. And he's like, no, brother, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, I hope I see you in 2 months when I got to go back,
Nice.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But yeah, I mean, when I say the thing is when I go to the doctor, it's like I almost never get sick or actually hurt myself where I would need to see the doctor. It's just because of the injuries from like 11 years ago. Yeah. When I was on the fire department, I have to go see doctors like every couple months. That's part of the whole when they retired me out deal. And they have to pay for it all. And they still send me a check too. You know what I mean? So I'm a retired firefighter, but I got to go see doctors and stuff. The Russians really like the leather seats. Allies use Shermans because we turned them out in massive numbers and they were good. But you're not wrong. But violence, two things can be right at the same time. Now, do I think the Sherman's a better anti-tank tank than the Panther? No. But the Panther sucks at supporting infantry, and a Sherman is great at supporting infantry. So, it's just this jack of all trades tank that was super easy to live through a hit, super easy to repair, And then the British, of course, found a way to put a 17-pounder in that bitch by turning it sideways, wiggling it in. And at that point, the Sherman Firefly, that thing could shoot a hole right through a Tiger 1 at 2,000 meters. So at that point, the big cats were done. When the British started putting 90 millimeter guns on, because I think 17-pounder equates to like 90 mil, or as the Germans would say, a 9-centimeter gun. Scotcha, no, I did not. Last week, I was ready to run the game, and I kid you not, 4 people caught out sick. But they were sick. It happens, And so that would have left us with 4 or 5, but the 4. Oh, getting your nails fixed? Okay, love you, baby. Have fun. So the other people were just like, they didn't want to start the actual campaign with 4 people gone, so I can dig it. Now, supposedly Tuesday, DM Cody will get his box set, and then he'll be, that's what the lady said. It should be there by Tuesday.
And that's actually the day we're starting Monday after. So yeah, he's still got a week before we start the Dragonbane campaign.
Well, that's good. I mean, he's probably already got the PDF, but the box has all the little standees if you want to use them, and all the little maps and stuff. I mean, it's a good box. That's one thing I will say. And Free League is coming out with a Slavic-based expansion book for Vaesen
Oh wow, nice.
called Dark Carpathia or some shit like that. So, because one problem I had about why I never bought Vaesen is it was, Nordic mythology, and I'm like, I really don't care about that, right? But now they're coming out with, Slavic mythology, and I'm like, well, that I kind of care about. So, but anyway, yeah, no game other than my wife and I doing some practice games of the Eternal Struggle. Ventru versus, I just pick random. I have like one of every clan and two of most. So, like, I think I have my deck here that I played against her last time. It's the Banu Hakim, which is in the old days. What's up, Off Grid? In the old days, these guys were called Assamites.
They don't call them Assamites anymore.
In the new Knights, they are the Banu Hakim because there's actually 3 sub clans within it. You have the Warriors, the Lore Masters, and whatever the other one is. So if you make a Banu Hakim character, you, depending on which type of Banu Hakim you are, determines like what your third discipline is.
I can't stand the new World of Darkness.
So, like, if you're a Lore Master, you actually get Thaumaturgy. And if you're a Warrior, you get Celerity. And if you're the other one, you get, like, Presence or something. Well, it's like how they kind of got rid of the Giovanni, but they didn't. They just, every clan that used to have necromancy got waffled up into one big organization called the Hakata. And you can play a Giovanni, you can play a Samedi, you can play a Cappadocian, you can play a Aharmane, you can play any of the clans, but your main affiliation is with the Hakata. Mainly because when the Giovanni tried to join the Camarilla was like, nope. But when the Assamites wanted to join the Camarilla was like, sure, come on in. So the Cam's totally different too. Most Bruja are anarchs now. They are no longer Cam. But the Hakim and the La Sombra are now Cam clans. And the Sabbat are basically wiped out.
Why would you wipe out the Sabbat? They're amazing.
I had a case of Assamites, turns out. No, you don't want a case of Assamites. I can tell you. If we're talking the same kind of mites, in Kentucky, if you go through the pine woods, they got these tiny little, they're like ticks, but they're so small you can't even see them. And they burrow into your skin. Oh, man.
Assamites? Oh, man.
And then you get a red dot where they are, and it itches, and they never hit you just one. It's always like 20 of them. They fall out of the trees on you. And they say the best way to cure them is to paint over them with nail polish. Because apparently their tiny little butt is sticking out of your skin and they're breathing through it. So if you put nail polish on them, they suffocate and die. And then your body will take care of the rest. What's up, Squirrel Hermit? But yeah, anytime you're in Kentucky during like most of the year, except maybe winter, deep winter, if you go out in the woods and wander around a while, when you come home, you got to strip off in the bathroom. And if you got a wife, have her check you out too to make sure you ain't got any ticks on you, because that is a thing there. So yeah, that is definitely a thing up there. But as far as games go, though, Satya, I have too many games I want to play. I want to play One Ring. I want to play Baptism of Fire. I want to play Deadlands, the original. Just there's so many games out here that what's funny is the only one that's even near D&D would be Baptism of Fire. You know, the other games I want to play are like completely different systems. And also they're coming out with a new a new like setting for Coriolis, which isn't going to be in the Third Horizon. It's going to be more out in the black. So, you know, that could be cool. We'll see. I'd love to play Coriolis too, but I'd love to play my Traveler 2300 collection, which I bought at great expense because that shit's expensive.
The original Traveler 2300 stuff is way better. The 2300 AD, way better than the Mongoose stuff.
The new stuff, they didn't even, all they did is tuck the Traveler 2020 whatever edition.
Name. All they did was just took the name.
Yeah, they just tucked the name and like changed a couple things around, and they're like, it's just Traveler.
Yeah.
If you've ever played any edition of Traveler, then you know what this is.
When you play the old
GDW
GDW
one, I
set,
think you die 10s, didn't it?
it did. That's the old GDW stuff, and it was good.
And you used to have to pick like whether you were an endomorph or an exomorph.
Yeah.
Whether you were like short and stumpy or tall and skinny. And yeah, that was a great game. That was a great game. And the expansions for it were amazing too. Aurora and all that. Like when you could play the Texas Rangers on that one world where the Eber lived, and your whole deal was trying to peacefully like deal with the Eber. So it was basically a Wild West, you're a Texas Ranger dealing with the natives to try to come to a peace agreement instead of, ending up wiping them out. Unscripted Unchained. What's up, homie? How you doing, bro? I hope you're doing wonderful. It's Friday, right? We all made it. Those of us who get the weekends off. There he is, too. The man, the myth, the legend.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? All right, let me turn off this here. So, how's everybody doing?
Good. How you doing?
I saw the title. All right, the U.S. thinks are going to be lit. So I wanted to see what is going to be lit. Other than myself,
there's going to be more arson.
Yeah, we were discussing the cabinet picks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that should certainly be interesting.
And how it's more interesting than NFL draft. You know what I mean? It's like
so.
My wife
I mean, so far, there's a few people that I'm not that familiar with.
Right.
So. I've always been a fan of Tulsi Gabbard, at least certainly since she's gotten away from her original stance with the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. But as a person, as a soldier, looking at her career and her priorities, of not getting involved in unnecessary wars and such. I certainly respect her for that. She was the only Democrat I could have ever seen myself voting for, to be honest with you. So, although I think that she would have probably been better as a Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
But she would need a waiver to do that. But you control the freaking Congress, so you could have gotten that waiver very easily.
I think, and you know what though? I think as Secretary of Intelligence, she's going to actually bring an outside perspective to what is usually an in-house club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like usually the people that they point are already involved with intelligence, so they tend to just toe the party line and let the CIA get whatever the fuck it wants.
Yeah. If she were an intelligence officer, I'd agree.
But I'm saying her lack of intelligence is what's going to make her useful.
Yeah, it might give her a different perspective. I look at Dan Bongino would have been perfect for that too, although he might be the head of CIA.
But I'm looking forward to RFK Jr. as the head of the fucking education and health. I'm like, this is going to be a fucking lightning show.
Education, I thought he was going to. Trump said he was going to get rid of the education department.
Exactly, and that's what RFK is going to do for him.
If you look at its history, the education department, which was started by Carter, has failed every year since. We went from We went
Number
from
1 to
first.
24.
You're one of the
from first
number
to
one
24.
educated societies in the world. Your high school graduates were worth people who were going to colleges in other countries, and now you guys, your high school graduates can't compete with fucking elementary school graduates from the
Yeah,
Asian
no,
countries.
it's you know, and as somebody who came out of and you know public education and taught public education for 26 and a half years, I watched the decline of the system as a student in the mid 1980s to a teacher in the mid 96 through to 2022, and just watched the inevitable watering down, and when as a history teacher, when I saw that they were getting rid of critical thinking in history questioning, I was like, where the hell is this going? I mean, it's like, how do you remove critical thinking from that? Go ahead.
Well, I'm a Canadian, so I don't understand everything you guys do in your country really well. But here, education is not only a provincial matter, it's a municipal matter, right? Like it's the municipalities that control their education. The provincial government gives them what mandates they do, and the money comes from the province. I would think education would be a state issue in America, not a federal one.
It primarily is, but because there is no federal curriculum per se, but they tie certain monies from the federal government to the schools, so it makes them kind of incumbent to follow the
suggestions
that are underlying suggestions, but they're always attached to money, which makes them that much more
welcome to Canadian public health care.
Yeah,
that is exact. There's a federal level of healthcare, and what they do is they dole out the federal money to the provinces, with the provinces having the right to do it the way they want. But the provinces aren't really allowed to do what they want half the time because, the purse strings are attached with caveats.
Right.
So it's a
you can do what you want, but then we won't give you any money.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, and you know what? Trump is going to do the same thing with these sanctuary cities. It was like, all right, you don't have to cooperate with ICE. ICE is still going to go in there, but now we're going to take away your funds that you're used to having, because if you are inhibiting us and we have to spend additional funds in order to do that, then you don't need those same funds to, we're not going to fund you to counter what we're looking to do. But I don't think that they should take it away. I know they're talking about, well, we'll take away their law enforcement funds that they get from the federal government. No, they don't give a shit about that. Take it away. Take the funds away from something that they actually care about. Yeah. Take the funds away from their immigrant services that they're looking to use, or take it away from the educational services that they're looking to do.
Well, I mean, your mayor already has been making moves.
Yeah, he's already been he's been trying to push that along, because he's gotten a taste. He has gotten a taste of, Joe Biden's corrupt, DOJ, where they started coming after him as soon as he spoke up against, Biden's open borders. So he got that taste, and Trump was the one that told him they're going to come after you, dude. All right.
That's like literally a week later, they were trying to fight him on everything.
Yeah. And not that he isn't, he is absolutely corrupt, and he's going to use his
kind of corrupt.
Yeah, he's going to use his race and his, to defend himself from it. And that's why they'll never push too hard on it. But yeah, he's going to. That's why Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, is afraid to really do anything about him. Just like she was afraid to do anything about the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. All right, or Letitia James, or they all have that shield, the racial shield, that nothing could ever really be done to them. Go ahead, Bear.
I got two things I want to say about why I'm so happy Trump won. Okay. Number one, the Houthis and Hamas both went, yeah, we're done. We're good.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
Like the day within 48 hours of him fucking being elected, two of the biggest problems in the world went, we're good.
Yeah.
The fucking Ukrainians, Zelensky went, maybe we could talk to Putin and maybe look at finding a ceasefire. All of a sudden,
they've been on the phone with him, both of them, Putin and
they're going to stop killing everybody. Oh, this is a good idea. Let's go with more of this. That's number one. Number two, did you see the meeting with him and Biden?
Yeah. Oh, Biden's happy.
Did you see how fucking happy Biden was? Jesus Christ, Biden was like, Joe Rogan said it best. He goes, after seeing that smile, I'm starting to think Biden voted for Trump.
He absolutely did. I have no doubt in my mind that both Joe and Jill Biden voted for Trump.
Well, Jill went to the voting booth wearing nothing but red. She was wearing red from foot to head. You know what I'm saying? So, and Jill's been a little salty about all this shit anyway. Jill Biden.
Oh yeah.
America should be salty about this shit. They tried to fucking pull a coup, essentially.
Yeah.
They tried to pretend it was a legal coup, but they fucking played shenanigans.
They played big shenanigans.
And we can get away with that here in Canada, because we have a parliamentary system, right? So we don't vote for the person, we vote for our local MP, and then the leader of the party that wins the most usually gets appointed as prime minister. So in the 90s, the Conservatives under Brian Mulroney coming out of the 80s, we were in a massive recession in Canada, and Mulroney saw the writing on the wall, like he's done. So he retired and appointed this woman, Kim Campbell, as the leader of the party. So she became prime minister for a minute, and then the election happened, and the Conservatives went from having a majority government, which is like a lot of seats, 150 seats or something stupid like that, to 2 seats. The party got drubbed down. We used to make jokes at the time. What's the difference between the Beatles and the Conservative Party of Canada? Beatles have one more active member and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't stop. Well, Trudeau hasn't picked up that's where the Liberals are heading right now. And when the message finally gets through to him, I promise you he's going to retire, because he has to focus on his family, because he and his wife are being separated, and he has to really work on his family, and that's why he needs to step out of the public eye. He's going to let Chrystia Freeland, this bitch of a deputy prime minister, take over the fucking party. She is the most unlikable twat in the world. Like, it's ridiculous how unlikable this woman is. She's Hillary Clinton unlikable. You know what I mean? She's
the one that twitches behind him. Like she looks like
she's always right off to his side, and when she talks, you always know it's her, because she sounds like that girl who told the teacher who misbehaved when the teacher left the room, because she'll turn to the Speaker of the House and she'll be like, Mr. Speaker. And this is how she talks in Parliament. Like she's talking down to everybody. Everybody's meeting her. But here's what people don't talk about. Her grandfather was one of the Ukrainians in the Ukrainian group that were the Nazis fighting the Russians.
Yeah.
You don't think Grandpa put some ideas in her head over the lifetime at the dinner table? Please. Second, she sits on the board of directors of the World Economic Forum. Third, somehow she's our Minister of Economics, our finance minister. She has no training in economics. She was a fucking journalist.
Yeah.
So our country's economy's been doing shit. She's an off-putting, unlikable twat. She's part of the people responsible for them honoring a Nazi in Parliament, and then everybody going,
yeah.
all of a sudden. So let her be the face of the Liberal Party, and we'll be making the jokes. What do the Liberals and whatever have in common? They only seat 2 right now. Like that's the way it's going to be going. Because and I'm telling you, they know it's coming. The rest of the party sees it. Trudeau's ego is being pumped up by the party heads, who are some of the people who've left the party have spoken out and said Trudeau does not make decisions. Trudeau is told what to do by this little cabal that runs the Liberal Party, right? And this little cabal that runs the Liberal Party is kind of like the Canadian version of your Obama-Clinton cabal. It's the same sort of idea. It's these people that are fucking rich, subscribe to all these horseshit Marxist ideas that impoverish the country but make them have more power, and they're about to find out the hard way that they're going to get fucking voted into obscurity. And then I hope the exact same thing happens to that party that happened to the Conservative Party, which is they have to step back, readdress who they are as a party, and reinvent themselves to come back to what the people want. Because you cannot stand on TV and tell everybody that, inflation's at a low rate and the interest rates are down when more than 2 million Canadians are accessing food banks to survive with full-time jobs.
Yeah, don't believe your eyes. Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe what you see in your wallet. Don't believe the hard times you're actually suffering. Believe us that you're doing better.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
Yeah. Don't believe your lying eyes. And it's like time and time again, the politicians on the wrong side of history just keep on thinking that is going to work. And it never works. It's like,
well, it never works, first of all, and second of all, they've relied on the legacy media to run interference for them so much. They've failed to understand the worm has turned, and no one pays attention to the legacy media anymore.
The legacy media is completely bankrupt. They're literally bankrupt.
NBC and Disney's talking about selling ABC.
Yeah, Disney's talking about selling ABC. ABC's struggling to find conservative voices to put on the air, and they can't find anyone because they got rid of them all. Their entire company's full of lefty liberals.
Or nobody wants to work there in that environment because they'll know that they'll be ganged up on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no conservatives on The View. They claim to be Republicans, but they're absolutely not any kind of a Republican I've ever seen in my heard. 58 years of and let's say 40 years of following politics. They're nowhere close
to
View is a Republican in any way. Not even an establishment Republican, which is a neocon anyway. They're not even neocon Republicans. They're completely we didn't have blue dog, we don't have blue dog Republicans. I guess the closest that they're less Republican than Reagan Democrats or what I'm saying?
So this is something someone much smarter than me said. They said the one thing everybody fails to understand is that Clinton, over the course of his reign of power, moved the Democratic Party to the right of Reagan, which is a terrifying idea to believe that you could go there, because Reagan was he was a social right winger, but he was, pretty right fucking wing, he wasn't hugs and kisses. He was all about, he suffered from the same thing that I think Pierre Elliott Trudeau did, the original Trudeau's father, which was he wanted what was best for his country. But it was based on his beliefs, right? So Trudeau fucked our country because his beliefs were out the fucking window. They were too woo-woo. And Reagan set you into that glorious decade we call the 80s, where it was like, shit happened. Shit got done. You know what I mean? Yeah, there was hard times. Yeah, there was bad times. And fucking Bush brought us that 90s recession that we got in Canada too. Let me tell you, it was fucking horrific up here too.
Yeah.
But we need to get to a point where we stop doing left, right, and someone out there, for the love of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, form a fucking centrist party that has conservative economic values and liberal social values. And if you bring those two together, you're going to get a goddamn, like the Polish are doing it right now. The Polish government is very conservative in economics and border safety and all that kind of shit, and very, very liberal in their social policies and healthcare and all this other stuff,
Well, we kind of almost got that with the populist movement we're seeing right now. I mean, look at this. RFK, Trump, Tulsi.
Yeah, Trump is definitely socially, socially less conservative than most people give him credit for.
He would be socially left. He
was a Democrat up until about 2015. So he was definitely socially more liberal. But they don't give him. They won't acknowledge it. Let's put it that way.
They don't acknowledge that he financed frickin' what's his name's Jesse Jackson's run for president.
Oh yeah, no, he was Jesse Jackson, Winfrey. They all loved him in the 80s and 90s.
There's pictures of Al Sharpton hugging him.
Oh yes, Yes, oh no,
So,
they
look,
loved him.
2015, 2016.
The View loved him. Oprah loved him.
Yeah.
2015, 2016 was for a lot of people was a wake up year, right? I was center left until 2015, 2016, and then I found myself slowly becoming center right, and now I'd say I'm fairly center right. Like I want some fucking authority back in our lives. I want some rules. I want some regulations. I want some control of our society because this fucking free for all is not fucking working. The idea of what Mobius 8 just said, a conservative with liberal values, that doesn't even make sense. You skipped out the words I used, which is fiscal conservative, social liberal. And you can have those things, and you can be that way. You can be about, I want to make sure business is good, the economy is good, and people are making money, and we're protecting our people. And I also want to make sure our healthcare system works, and our education works, and people have freedom and rights to do things and get the help they need. And people who are on the low end of the economy get a chance to be pulled up a little bit and maybe get some money in their pockets that can help get them back on their feet. I mean, that's not insanity.
Yeah. You had that combination with when Clinton and Newt Gingrich were working together. Clinton in his second, and I voted for Clinton in his second term. All right. The combination of the two, was working. I mean, it was exactly that. It was a centrist government where you had, a fiscal conservatives. What was it? The contract with America. Clinton signed 7 of the 10 planks of the contract with America.
But he fucking abandoned Glass-Steagall, and we can trace at least a good 3/4 of our modern problems to that fucking act.
Yeah,
the other thing we can trace to is him deregulating fucking media and allowing multiple ownership within one company.
Well, yeah, that too, and but he was also don't ask, don't tell, which as somebody who served during that time, we had no problem with that whatsoever.
That's explained. I still live that way.
Can you guys
and we had,
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I've seen like people on the left saying it was a bad thing. I've seen people on the right saying it was a bad thing. So can you guys explain what don't ask, don't tell was in a way that
don't ask, don't tell was just that that military officers primarily could not ask the sexual orientation of the membership below them, right? Of their subordinates. However, if the subordinate knew that he or she were not supposed to tell and talk about it and be open about it, so it was basically, now we had a sergeant who was in my unit, and we all knew he was gay. He never, like if somebody had asked him, he would just say, well, I'll let you know when I retire, kind of thing, And when his retirement was coming up, he said, I'm going to celebrate it, I'm going to go celebrate it with all my friends and family and everything. And, we're like, hey, where are you going to go? Well, what restaurant you going to? He said, well, I'm going to go to a bar that you shouldn't be seen in. All right. He says, while you're still serving, you shouldn't see, I'm like, all right, we got it, but we all knew he just never made it an issue. You know what I'm saying? He never made us uncomfortable when we were in the showers and the barracks and whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like he just acted like it was, no big deal, and, it was the epitome. It was basically of don't ask, don't tell.
Rule was basically, it was exactly what it says.
Yeah.
Don't tell me your personal shit, and I will ask you your personal shit.
So
and
why
we'll
is
do our
the bad thing
together, and it'll be fine.
Because the way that the liberals basically look at it as being a bad thing is because they feel that it is forcing someone to be closeted. All right. But closeted doesn't mean that everyone around you doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we all knew, and we didn't care, and that's the other thing. I mean, that's the other thing with the military that people that have not served in the military don't know is that We don't give a shit about that kind of stuff because we don't look at each other as you're a white soldier, you're a male soldier, you're a female soldier, you're gay, you're this, you're black, no. We all look at everyone is green. All right. That's all we used to say. Everyone is green. If you're wearing the same uniform as I am,
right.
All right, then we are one. All right. Don't let anybody from the outside, fuck around with you. All right, because then they'll have to deal with me. And that cross branches too.
Yeah.
It's like Marines and Army and Navy and everything. We might jab at each other and everything, but don't let an outsider say anything. I mean, I lose my shit when I hear someone saying, oh, well, he's an ex-Marine. I was like, there's no such thing as an ex-service member unless they get kicked the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It is a brotherhood. And
it's a brotherhood, right?
This before, let me interject. Like if I were in Hinesville off post of Fort Stewart coming back from the Red Apple, which was kind of a country bar, and I were to see somebody from my battalion coming out of a gay club or some shit, I would tell exactly nobody.
Yeah.
This is not my freaking business and I don't care.
Right.
And he's 100% right. When you're in the back of that Bradley with those 5 other guys, you do not give a F where they want to stick their wing. You just don't want to die. And so the most important thing about every guy in your squad is competency.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's all it boils down to.
But can you do the job? Like, can I count on you to have my back when we get in a firefight? And if the answer is yes, then who cares what color they are, where they come from? None of that shit matters. You just got to be competent at your job, and you'll be fine. But I
talked a little bit. You brought up Fort Stewart, and I came through, and you probably came through Fort Jackson as well. For your base.
I was an 11 X-ray through Fort Jackson.
Yeah. So I mean,
and then
the other thing I'm laughing about is that
you're gonna be.
Trump said he's going to return all those old names again.
That'll blow some people's heads up too. But it was like, why change them? It's like all it's doing is showing that we're ashamed of our history.
Exactly.
And our ancestors.
It's a shame. It reminds me of when I was in basic training and we were in the mess hall, and a couple of the drill sergeants came in, and this is right after we came out of the at a trade dock, because we had like an extended trade dock time because they were getting us ready to go to Desert Shield, but they didn't have the cycles lined up exactly right. So we ended up spending like 3 weeks in trade dock before we ended up in so we ended up in the reception battalion 3 weeks before we actually entered basic training proper. And at one point during that time frame, and I'm going all the way back to 1990, so I'm a little bit blurry on it, but so it was either during trade dock or during the first week of basic training in the mess hall. A couple of drill sergeants came in and they started desegregating the tables. All right. They started going around. Now, in the beginning, and you probably remember this too, DM James, in the beginning, we were all segregated by state. All right. All the New Yorkers sat with the New Yorkers. All the people from, Maine sat with all the people on Maine. And you know how you could tell the New Yorkers from those from Maine? Was there were more blacks and Hispanics in New York than from Maine. You know what I'm saying? So when they came in to desegregate the tables, it wasn't what they were seeing was they were seeing the race, at the table, and not addressing the fact that, well, we're divided by states. You know what I'm saying? And so
like if you're a white guy or a black guy, and one guy's on one side of the street in Jamaica, Queens, and the other guy lives on the other side.
Right. And so they started to separate us, and we realized, we were like, wow, they're just making sure that no table is of any one race. And even we understood at that time was like, if you're looking at us as different races, then that's not the unit cohesion, that we were expecting, from them. It's like you're acknowledging race. You should be colorblind, blah. I just drew a blank. Like Martin Luther King Jr. said, right? It was like, dream of a time when we're a colorblind society. Somehow the left has turned that into a negative, and that's amazing to me as a social studies teacher for 26 years. When I watched that kind of a mentality come into the school system, oh no, if you're racially blind, that's discriminatory. You're not acknowledging my existence. It's like, what the fuck is that? How do you derive that from the
what does that even mean? It's like, I'm aware you're there. I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. I see a man in front of me, or I see a woman in front of me. I don't care whether you are black, white, Hispanic, or Asian, or anything that you want to. I just see a person. That's like the whole pronoun debate. Don't tell me what your pronouns are. Tell me what your name is. I will talk to you by your name. It's like, I think that's a little bit more. I think that's a little bit more familial, to talk to somebody by their name.
They changed the names because most of the bases in the South were named after Confederate generals, and the left, for whatever reason, was like, we can't have anything that references the Confederacy.
He probably knows that part. He's just saying that it is kind of a Marxist tactic to try to erase history, destroy all the past.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But see, I never went through that though, Bloodworth. When I was going through training, it was like 90% white boys from Appalachia and then 10% black dudes from like the hood. Detroit, Chicago, New York.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it was infantry. And, we just never had a lot of minorities in the infantry units.
Yeah. No, it was
all hillbillies. You get to the infantry units, it's all hillbillies.
Ours was very
Midwestern, corn-eating, big-ass white dudes,
I think that when I went to advanced training and I was in an 8-man room in advanced training. It was six blacks to 2 whites. It was myself and this one guy. I just called him Tennessee. I forget his real name. I'll have to look it up. But
how nobody ever called anybody by their first name. It was all
no. It was I was Spaghetti. So I was like, yeah. I had 2 nicknames in the military. I was Private Spaghetti, and I was Big Head because they gave me a helmet in basic. My first issued helmet to me was like freaking half a size too large, and the thing used to just wobble on top of my head. So I was almost like Lord Helmet, with the thing. So, and they fucking had me go through all of basic training with that damn ass helmet, just to ride me, with that thing. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So myself in Tennessee. Now Tennessee he was really from Appalachia. I mean, he never saw a black person in his life because he didn't have television in his house. He didn't have electricity in his house. All right. He was a true hillbilly.
Yeah.
All right. So when the other soldiers in our room, the other black soldiers in our room, they went nuts for this guy. They loved the fact that he had never seen a black person before in his life. And we were all brothers.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that taught me, because I asked. I was like, because I wasn't brought up with this, because they were using the N-word back and forth amongst themselves and everything. And I was like, well, what if I said that, or Tennessee said that? They said, oh, you'll be all right. This is because you're us. We're brothers. We're all green. And I was like, so you'll be all right to say that. But then
even in the civilian world, if you live in the hood,
Yeah.
and you're down with them and they know you're down with them 100%, every now and then you can slide as long as you don't
It's
hard on.
questionable. Yeah.
Like if you walk up and you
Questionable.
grab
Go ahead,
and pull them in for a hug, you can be like, "What up, my nigga?" and be
So-
okay with it. It
so when
just
I was an
depends
adult
on
learning
if you got the
specialist,
pass.
I was sitting around with some of the students when they're on the production floor working, and someone said something, and I said some comment back, and then one of the guys who was like Canadian, Haitian, turned around and goes, "Yeah, but Bear, you black?" And I went, "What? No. And I held up my arm and I pointed at my pale belly fish belly skin, and went, no. If I was any more wet, I'd be translucent. And they're like, nah, you black. I'm not black. And then this one girl from Africa who I had trained, she turns out, she goes, "No, you are black, and I will explain why." And I'm like, okay. She goes, "We are so used to when white people talk to us, we can see them thinking about what they're going to say before their mouths open. You just talk to us like a person. You don't care if you offend us. You just speak to us." And I'm like, yeah. She goes, "That makes you black." I was like, okay, that's weird, but I'm still white. Then when I went to Michigan, I got sent to Grand Rapids, Michigan for 2 weeks to do the job there and train someone to do the job for the company because we had a couple of American branches. And at the end of the training, I'm in Grand Rapids. You can imagine, 3/4 of the group that we hired were all African American. And they were like going, "Yo, Bear, you're going to get an N-word card." And I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're like, no, we're giving you an N-word card. I'm like, no, can we not do that? I went, "All right, fine. You get a card that says you invited to the cookout." And I'm like, there, that's good. We'll do that moving forward. Thank you very much.
I mean, Hungar had the N-word card.
Yeah, it doesn't
throughout,
count, though, because the minute you're around people who aren't the people that gave you the N-word card, it don't fucking matter.
Well, that's why I said you got to know who you're talking to.
Exactly. But how about just don't use the word? There's a crazy idea. There's no need to use it. There's no point to use it. Just let it go.
When I hang out with my bros and they pull me in and they call me that,
that's different. That's you
guys. Black, then I mean, what are you gonna do?
That's in a private grouping of people. That's fine. It's the idiots that want to use the word everywhere. They think they can get away with it. It's like, no,
that's not cool. And you don't throw a hard R on it because that's letting them know.
Yeah, I've been. So
you got to know your audience.
I was a middle school teacher in the South Bronx. All right, I've been called it. I used to hear it 1,000 times, and a day, 1,000 times a day. So I kept on trying to tell my 8th graders at the time. I said, I just don't want to hear it anymore. I said, I really wish you would stop calling each other it, stop using it, even if you're using it. Very casually, and they would still from time to time use it. It certainly did taper off because they knew I really didn't like to hear it all the time. And then I showed them a movie. It's called The Youth March. All right. And it was about the kids that were getting locked up. And these were young kids getting locked up down there in Mississippi or whatever. At the time, and then they were interviewing during this documentary, they were interviewing white kids from the local school and everything, and they used the word with a hard R. And my students, all right, 8th grade students, all right, a collective, and I stopped the movie, I paused it, and I was like, "What happened?" I says, "You're suddenly shocked. What happened? What's the difference?" I says, "You use this word hundreds of times a day." All right. And they said, "Well, that's the first time we ever heard it with hate backing it up."
Yeah.
And I was like, now you understand why I don't like to hear the word.
Yeah.
All right. And because when I was raised, that's the only time I did hear the word being used. I said, so here when I'm coming into you, all right, and I'm hearing it being used in such a casual manner that it doesn't have that same meaning, I'm not separating that. But then when you hear it being used in that way, how do you think a kid much younger than you, regardless of their race, is going to know that nuance? Right? Are you going to beat up a small Chinese kid that uses the word not knowing that there's some freaking nuance to it when you're allowed to use it?
Too much rap and all that bullshit, and it's been programmed.
Exactly. It's like, and in rap it is used hatefully. All right, that's
It
the
is true,
bizarre
because
thing.
if you listen
And
to
rap, it
50
is
Cent,
used hatefully. It's used as a put down.
I mean, even between two black guys. Because if
Yes.
you listen to 50 Cent, Many Men Wish Death Upon Me, right? When he's
Yeah.
talking about, you know, the person that's going to die and he's calling him that word, there's no brotherhood there.
Yeah. No. It's like
You
you want to
know,
see
You might
some
not be putting a
racism.
hard R on it, but there's
Yeah,
hate.
you want to see some racism. You see the racism that takes place between light colored blacks and dark colored blacks.
Oh yeah, look,
Oh my God, that's
Dave
awful.
Chappelle was one of the best. Like he did more for the understanding of African American culture than anyone else. And the way he did it was in the little sketches he did. But one was the McDonald's sketch, where the kid from the neighborhood, he redid the McDonald's ad sketch where the kid from the neighborhood got the job at McDonald's. Then it cuts to like Charlie Murphy and the two other guys just being total street gangs. So like, I heard Mikey working at McDonald's. Ah, good for him, man. It's my time. Let's go rob that N-word. You know, like it's there.
Yeah.
And I think this is why I think white people should not want to say the word. We should just let it go. This need to say it so we can prove a point. And the urban culture needs to stop using the word like it's like, let it go back to being a hate word so that when someone uses it, we can clearly identify them and go, you're a piece of shit right there. I got you covered.
Only time, there's two times I've used the word, and it's when I'm hanging out with some bros or when I'm singing along with rap music.
Yeah.
N-word in Paris, huh?
Like, because I listen to a lot of NWA and shit. So, and it's like no one of any color thinks I'm being hateful when I'm singing along with Eazy-E talking about shit. You know, it's like, but uses that as an insult. No, I'm a lot more likely.
You ever see James? You ever see CB4?
Oh yeah, coming straight out of Low
Cash, a motherfucker named Gusto.
Yeah, fuck your mama, fuck your cat.
I forgot.
I try to fuck your sister, but that bitch is too fat.
Exactly. I mean, you know what I mean? Like Chris Rock's always had his finger on the pulse. That's all I can say.
He really has. He really has. But yeah, I mean, and as far as the actual main topic, I mean, every time they pick a new person to be on the list, it's like you just see a flood of people just screaming.
Yeah, I gotta go. I'll see you.
Take care, lad. Let's
care.
get back to the most important point of this conversation: Tulsi Gabbard and why I'm madly in love with her.
Well, she is a handsome woman. Let me tell you, she is a good-looking woman. And I don't know how anybody could disagree with that. I think that should be just a national consensus. Tulsi Gabbard, very attractive woman.
I groom her to be
She's
president.
aged very well, too, because I remember her 10, 15 years ago. And I love her anti-war stance. When she was running as a Democrat, I loved the way she would get up there and go after the war hawks. I mean, and it's so weird. You've got two guys who are in the Army in chat together, and we're both anti-war. And I don't know about Richard, but I actually spent a year in Saudi Arabia and Iraq.
Yeah, I only spent 6 weeks. I spent 6 weeks. That's how fast my deployment
was in the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only people that I disliked in that whole situation was the Saudis. Couldn't stand.
I despised the Saudis so much more than I did the
Iraqis that we had as prisoners. They were, not the Republican Guard, but they were totally separated from the rest of the Iraqis. But
which we did take out the Hammurabi division of the Republican Guard. We captured a few of them, and they spoke English.
Yeah. Oh no, they almost all of them did. They were one of the most westernized Arabic countries around. That's why
dude we captured said he went to college.
Saddam was not a devout Muslim in any way. No. They were a hindrance to his power. So they weren't. They were very, very civilized. Not civilized. They were very westernized, I should say. But No,
we
the
effed all
only-
that shit up.
Yeah, the only people we couldn't stand. I know when we were doing even after we were back and we were in our reserve units and I was still with the same military police brigade, and we used to do this this big operation called Operation Gold Sword, where we'd have 50,000 troops down at Fort A.P. Hill, Virginia. I mean, just took over the entire place. Until the Boy Scouts were coming. Then we got kicked out as quick as you could imagine. That's when the Boy Scouts were actually revered. But we were still working with many other foreign militaries. You know, the Aussies, we always loved the Aussies. The Aussies were great. Saudi Arabians were pieces of shit. We worked with some Israelis, although not often. But it was mostly Aussies and Saudi Arabians and some German that we worked with during that operation. But yeah, the other ones I disliked were the Saudi
I have no
Arabians.
skin in this game, sorry to say, but
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, cool.
Oh, yeah, plenty of Canadians too. Forgot. Sorry about
Oh, no,
that.
we're lovely.
Yeah,
We're lovely.
We're a lot of Canadians as well. So
We're absolute angels until you piss us off, and then we're war criminals.
yeah.
It's just the way we are. Freaks everybody out. Why are Canadians so nice until they get angry? Well,
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say about the quiet guy.
Listen,
Yeah.
we're nice when we have to be nice, and we're mean when we have to be mean. And
Yeah.
then after, we're going to be nice to you
Quiet
again.
guy, you gotta watch out for. They say
Yeah.
the
So
shit talker ain't.
When you're the middle child,
Yeah.
child of the former British Empire,
Hmm.
and your fucking oldest and youngest siblings are America and Australia, you kind of get a little bit of a Jan Brady syndrome going on, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. So getting back to your title.
Marcia. Yeah.
But I
Thing
do
is
agree
getting
with
that-
you 100%. It is my experience that the Saudi Arabians, at least the military ones I met, were a bunch of shitheads.
Yeah, they're
And I actually developed a lot more fondness for the POWs that we
yeah,
got
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
than for any of the Saudis. The Saudis were all shitheads. The POWs just seemed like nice guys that probably owned falafel stands and then got drafted into a stupid war they didn't want to be in.
oh yeah, no, they turned themselves in. Well, very, very few people did we have to capture. You know what I'm saying?
We would hold them. We would hold them until the National Guard MPs would show up and
Yeah, they used to show up. They used to show up at our camps that were, we were set up like a triangle, right? Two right on the border of Iraq and Saudi Arabia, and one back. All right, deeper into Saudi Arabia. The one back is where all the Republican Guard got sent. All right, but the front two posts or EPW camps, we used to get hundreds, if not even thousands, of Iraqi soldiers just turning themselves in.
those boys didn't want to fight.
Yeah, no, they just walked to us, and we had to sort them out. And once we identified Republican Guard, they got separated. Officers got separated right away because the regular Iraqi soldiers would kill the shit out of them if they, if we put them into the same place. And so it was just a totally different generation too. I mean, if we're talking about military, 1990 to today is, it's just a totally different army. And that's probably why Milley's afraid he's going to get court-martialed, which he absolutely deserves to be.
He should be.
Yeah, he should absolutely be court-martialed.
I remember you've been on the channel a bunch of times. I know you're from like Brazil or somewhere like that, bro. And I bet you, from your point of view, a lot of the shit we do seems crazy as shit.
That's okay, because there's a lot of shit that Brazil does that makes me go, really?
I don't know, though. They have that one thing once a year where all the hot women dance around barely dressed. I like that.
Not all of them are women, son.
If you can't tell,
Say it.
And it's not like I'm lusting. I'm just admiring that God has made beautiful things in the world.
As I told you once before, I used to work when I was in radio with this French guy, and he and his girlfriend went to Thailand. When he got back, I said, "So how was it?" And his first comment was, "If she over 5'7", she have a cuck."
Yeah, but in Thailand, they tell you. They're not trying to hide it.
I was like, do I want to ask how he knew this, or I'm going to let this one go? I don't need to.
If you go to Thailand or any of those places, they will tell you straight up that they're lady boys.
They don't
and
care.
They're not ashamed of it.
Not one bit.
And some people like the lady boys, and some people don't. And it's like whatever.
Oh no! You're preaching to the choir, man. I totally agree with you on that one. I just think it's funny that was the first thing he had to say about Thailand, and all I could think to myself was, "How did you learn this lesson, Mark? What experience taught you this valuable?"
Well, maybe Mark was just a fan of entertainment value.
He was with his girlfriend, so who knows?
You know that one comedian that said the one guy who would get some sexual whatever from everyone knew it was a transvestite, and when they finally told him, he said, "Look, I'm into saving money, and that there was an entertainment value." Because I guess she whatever only charged like $5, you know. So the dude was just like, whatever, man. And nobody, I know for a fact, one of my best friends got some oral from a tranny, and I tried to talk shit to him. I was like, dude, you know that chick used to be a guy, right? And this dude, I'll never forget him. He was so whatever, but he looked me right in the eyes and said, "I don't care if it was a man. That is the best BJ I ever got." And I was like, okay.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But that was in the mid 90s, you know, when it was like different, you know, people were like, okay. I was just like, okay, Ash, whatever, bro. And I never brought it up again. But yeah, that person was on TV and on like a local Orlando show because they'd been born with both and they'd cut the one off. So it was even more hardcore than whatever. But like originally his name was Angel, but then it became Angelique. And of course, she hung out at the Vampire game. I mean, come on.
Of course.
She was like a Spanish chick with long black hair, and she hung out at the Vampire game. And
Toreador.
I don't know what she played, but she was, I guess, what they call intersex. She had both until they removed one.
Yeah. Listen, I don't give a flying fuck who you love or who makes love to you or who you make love to, so long as it's A, of consenting age, and B, of consenting interaction. But much like our earlier conversation, don't ask, don't tell. I don't want to know who you're fucking. Please don't tell me who you're fucking. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty straightforward at this point in time in my life.
That's why you're the bear.
It's your business, not mine, baby.
Hey,
I'm tell you where my penis goes. Please don't tell me where your penis goes, you know?
Well, getting back to your earlier thing, DM James, I'm going to put something in the text, you know, in the chat here. Yeah. And why is this not, Helena? Why is this not his current attorney? Can you imagine if he made Haba the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York?
Oh, he picked somebody from New York to be.
Yeah, Jay Clayton.
Yeah.
But he should have picked somebody from his freaking defense team. That would have blown their minds if he put what's her name, Alina Haba. If he put her in there, they would have lost their freaking marbles.
Oh, they still are though. I mean, Matt Gaetz has got them scared as shit.
Yeah.
If Matt Gaetz gets put into that position, people are going to jail and they know it. And Elon's already said that all the Diddy shit and all the Epstein shit will be released.
If he does get a Supreme Court pick, I mean, he'd really blow up their minds too if he put in Eileen Cannon.
Because the Democrats are wanting Sotomayor to retire before Trump.
I know. Can you imagine? Like, she should have came out with both her and Biden should be like, screw you all. You know,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
screw you all. I mean, all of this nonsense of trying to, you know, it wasn't enough that they tried to have a coup against him, you know, against Biden, but now they're trying to have a coup against her. She's like, I'm 70 years old and healthy.
Right. Yeah, they're saying that she should step down because she's got diabetes. And it's like, who don't? This is America. I mean, you're more likely to find somebody who don't have diabetes, or you're less likely to find somebody without diabetes than with at this point.
It's harder to find someone that doesn't have diabetes.
Yeah, that's what
I said this before the other day. I'll say it again. America is more than ready for a female president. Just stop running unlikable cunts, and maybe you'll get one.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Tulsi Gabbard would be an excellent presidential candidate.
Well, now,
Luna,
not back then. Before, you know, like I said, she had to
Don't talk shit about my baby, or you're going back to Whore Island on a fast express, sir. We do not talk any negative thoughts about my beautiful Hawaiian baby.
No, she was wrong on the Second Amendment. She was definitely wrong on the Second Amendment.
back in the day, she was.
Listen, she just needed to grow, and she
Yes.
did, and that's all that matters.
Yeah,
No,
people evolve.
That was the only thing I had with her. But like I said, I would have voted for her. You know, hell, I would have voted for Colin Powell if he ran back in '96.
Yeah.
He would have been my pick in '96, and then he lost his marbles.
Well, Obama was definitely preferable to me than freaking what's his name?
McCain.
McCain. I despise McCain.
I voted for McCain.
I know you did. If the ticket had been flipped, I might have voted for what's her name, but no way I was voting for McCain. I just have a hatred for him.
Yeah, at the time I didn't. You know, back then, I used to do military vote. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and you know, McCain. I didn't vote for Dole because I just didn't think he was capable of doing it. You know, and he was getting, you know, he was getting it because he deserved it. You know what I'm saying? He deserved the nomination, and to me, it's like that's kind of cruel. You know, it's almost like running Biden was cruel. You know, second term. You know, he just wasn't.
We all knew it was too. We all knew it was. It was like
it was as cruel as hell. You know, but I understand why Biden did it, and you know, I fully expect, and actually, I agree with him that Biden on his way out is going to pardon his son. Fully expected, and
I don't even blame him.
Yeah, no, he actually should. He's saying, you know what? I'm going to put fatherhood above the politics. You know, and he absolutely should. All right, and I think that will actually have more integrity behind it, especially if he says, you know, I don't care what the political optics of this is. I'm doing this as a father, and if I have the power to protect my son, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I can respect that. Family first, man.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could. Now, the left would attack him for it. You know,
I wouldn't be surprised if Trump didn't pardon Hunter.
That would be hilarious. That would really be hilarious if he didn't.
Did you see? I was watching.
Biden is absolutely going to. You know, I would be stunned if he didn't. You know,
I was watching Squirrel Tribe, and they were holding up the picture of like Trump and Obama during their whatever. And
yeah.
Far ends of the couch, scowling, and then, like you guys said, they show up the picture of Trump and Biden, and they're like chugging it up.
Oh, they're laughing,
Biden's grinning all loud. They're leaned in at each other, just having a chat.
And the viewer attacking them for sitting there very, you know, cordially and laughing and everything, and they're saying, you see. This is all it is. It's you're seeing two old white guys that know that they're gaming the system or whatever, you know, they said. But, you know,
they know it's politics. You say shit when you're doing stuff that maybe you don't necessarily 100% mean. Does Biden actually think Trump is the reoccurrence of the Austrian?
No, of course not.
He knows better than that.
The angry mustache model.
Yeah,
Two
he
days,
knows
3
better than
months.
that, but they were saying stupid shit. Now it's over. And Biden came out and said right away, yeah, that was a fair election, well ran, and the people have spoken. There you go. You know? So at least Biden and a lot of those guys are coming out and they're keeping it classy. I respect that. Because
I mean, look, thank God it wasn't close. Okay, thank
Oh,
God
yeah.
it was a clear victory.
yeah, nobody can argue about it. Some still are, but they're idiots. You can't argue. I mean, he won by like 5 million votes and a landslide in the what's it called? It's like, just get over it, you know. He's and this weird shit. They're going to put people in camps and blah blah.
It's
It's like,
stupid.
what the hell are you thinking?
It's going to be
projecting. It's projecting because for all of this time, for the last 6 months, they've been saying, "Oh, we need to have, we need to quash free speech. We need to shut down these things. We might even need to put some people in re-education, re-education camps."
Yeah,
For
Hillary
this
said
stuff
that.
and everything. I mean, look at what they're doing in the UK. I mean, they're arresting people for just saying, "I don't want to see more Palestinian flags than the Union Jack in England," and that's that they're literally arresting people and putting them in jail for
Dude,
just
the
saying
English
that.
flag is not allowed to be flown on St. George's Day now because it might
Yeah.
offend people.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I made the comment on X today. I was like, dude, this is why we'll never ever give up our arms in the United States. I was like, because as soon as the government gets your arms, all of your other rights disappear along with it. And we will never give up our right to bear arms. It just won't happen. Or if they really try to put a real effort to it, be prepared for another civil war, because that's
I've
what
already got my red glasses. I've already got my red glasses.
Yeah,
they're right here.
Yes.
And I've got a set of old Army camo that fits me still.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got an AR chambered in 300 blackout. So I'm ready
Yeah,
to go.
it's just a, but like you said, if the U.S. is going to get lit, it's going to be really, really interesting to see.
Especially since you can post memes on X now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the memes are fire as hell, man.
Yeah.
They're good.
I'm going to be curious to see what happens because, once we go to that, Page, the Philadelphia Area Game Expo is 4 days before Inauguration Day. No, actually, wait. It is. Let me look. It is not. It's
some people on X were giving the Gamers for Harris people just a ration.
I know. I was getting burnt on that too because I signed it, just to fuck around. I actually signed it twice, and I had somebody come back to me and they're like, "Why'd you sign this thing? Why don't you know people are looking at that and saying, why did Bloodworth sign this?" And I said,
what?
There
was a Gamers for Harris.
Gamers for Harris line. It was almost like the orange list that they had back then. So I had reached out to several other very known conservative, gamers, or game designers and pundits or YouTubers and such like that. And I said, wouldn't it be funny if all of us known conservative YouTubers and game designers and everything, we all put our names on the list too and force them to remove our names. You know what I'm saying? So I said, not only am I going to do that, but I'm going to put my name in twice just to show that they have no vetting of who goes on to this list. I said, because there's people on that list that know me, can't stand me, have me blocked everywhere that they can, and it should be glaring. All right. My bad, because it came back to me and they were like, hey, you signed this thing and I'm going to, I'm not going to follow you anymore because you signed this thing. And I was like, I need to make myself clear. I was signing it to mock them. All right. And that's why. And then we're like, oh, well, that's actually a pretty decent troll. But if we don't know, then that's what we're, so I had to put a community post on my YouTube channel. I was like, listen, this is what I was doing. And maybe it was just a bad idea, because none of the other people that I spoke to followed suit. And then that's what made it an issue was that, I was the only one possible of the group that I spoke to that signed on to it. And I don't blame them, but I also don't care whether or not someone gets to, just misinterpreted. I put my statement out there. I said, this is why I was doing it. I was doing it to mock them. And maybe it wasn't, it didn't turn out the way I was hoping.
Bad call, Ripley. It was a bad call.
Yeah, it was a bad call. All right. So when you unknowingly self-trolled, it was. And I certainly came out to it, and owned up for it. I was like, you know what? I probably wasn't thinking, thinking that through. but I was like, hey, I said I was going to do it and I did it. All right. And I stand by that,
Interesting tactic, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him.
It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him.
Yeah.
Bold move. That meme, right?
But,
bold move.
Yeah.
That's a bold move. Let's see how it comes out. Well,
Six Nations. I love that meme. It has the guy with the red glasses from the Civil War movie.
Yeah.
And the other guy's like, I play D&D. And the guy with the red glasses and the AR's like, what edition? That's just all it is. It's like, uh-oh. Say AD&D. Say AD&D. Because at least maybe he'll cut you some slack and be like, you're just an old Grognoid. Go on. Whatever. But I've talked about that scene so much. Like, why didn't the Chinese guy say he was from San Francisco? When he's like, where are you from? Why did he say Hong Kong? He could have been like San Francisco, Chinatown. My ancestors came over and built the transit, Continental Railroad. We've been here for 300 years. All right, you're American. Go on your way. You know what I mean? But no, he said Hong Kong.
Because we needed a drama moment where the guy killed someone so we could justify him being killed after.
Right.
Storytelling, sir.
Well, okay, you know more about that than me. I'm just saying I would.
No, it's okay. So here's the thing: in storytelling, if you want your hero, your protagonist, to be heroic or to be likable or whatever, they cannot kill someone without just provocation. Okay, disagreement is not provocation. It has to be an act of vengeance. It has to be an act of protection. It has to be an act of heroism, right? So he kills the Chinese guy, then he gets killed. No one's going to blink an eye. They're going to say, good, I'm glad that fucker got killed.
Right.
Had they just killed him without him killing anyone, you'd have people going, yeah, but the guy didn't do anything. Right? Like, so then you got to, it's a really weird line to walk. And it's something a lot of modern filmmakers have lost sight of. Hence why that movie is actually a decent movie, because the writer and director knew what the fuck they were doing. There's another really good one that came out a couple years ago that people did not talk about, which was Run, Hide, Live, or whatever it's called. Where it's the girl stuck in the school shooting, and her dad's as a sniper and shit like that. And like, it's a really good movie because it doesn't just fucking take a side. It just deals with the events that are happening. It doesn't try and make a political point. Yeah, it's a really good movie, but no. People don't understand that shit.
And it's sad that way because, like I said, when I was in middle school and high school, there was a shotgun or a rifle in the back window of every truck in the parking lot. And every kid in the class had a knife in their pocket. And no one was shooting anybody. Yeah. Amazing. Unless you were feuding with them over something that happened 100 years ago. But that's different. And you didn't ever do it at school. I mean, there's places that are off limit.
Highlight not your Echo's last comment.
Don't let Bloodworth fool you. He's got a full chest Kamala portrait tattoo. Oh, I saw somebody actually got a tattoo of her.
Oh, that's so freaking bad.
And then this
Was she
chick
in
got a full
mid-cackle?
back hat that says Donald Trump is not my president.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's like, what is wrong with you? I just have to keep reminding myself that the crazy bitches you see online are an incredibly small fringe minority. They do not represent your average American woman.
No.
A wife represents your average American woman, and she would never do any of that. As a matter of fact, she don't even have any tattoos because she don't like it. She don't even like my tattoos. Luckily, you can't tell I have tattoos as long as I have a shirt on. Because, you know.
The only tattoo I got after I was married was my daughter's names on my, on my shoulder. Everything else I had, and then my wife was like, why didn't you get my name? I said, because my daughters will always be my daughters. I said, who knows what they'll be? Who knows what they'll be in 30, 40 years? It's like,
I know a guy that's got he tattooed his wife's name on him, and he's like on his third wife, so he just keeps putting lines to him and putting them back.
That's why I was like,
you don't straighten up, man. You're just gonna have a whole sleeve of just names of exes through them.
Yeah, ex-wives. Yeah, no, I was definitely like, and everybody else was like in the room because it was like a tattoo party. Like everybody was getting them, but my wife didn't, and my kids were young kids then. But yeah, they were like, I can't believe you just said that to your wife. I was like, what was I supposed to say? I was like, I told her straight out. That's not a problem. She wasn't even mad. She was like, oh yeah, I get it. It's like,
you can get your mom tattooed on you. You can get your pops tattooed. You can get your kids tattooed. But wives, you're just asking for trouble.
No, wives or husbands. Women shouldn't get boyfriends or husbands tattooed on them either. Those are not permanent.
Those are not permanent. They can wake up feeling bored one day, and the next thing you know, you're getting served with papers.
Yeah, so not that I have to worry about that, but
yeah, me neither.
At the time.
I mean, if you're a young man, it's definitely something to think about.
Oh, of course, yeah, definitely. When you're young, when you're old,
I got a couple of my tattoos when I was in the army, but like we all did because it was kind of like.
Well, yeah, that was like
you're out on the
first
one.
Is this Canadian level trolling? I get a T-shirt that says "Trump is not my president," and then I wear it and wait to see for people who freak out, start yelling at me, and me going, "But I'm Canadian. He's literally not my president."
Yeah, if you're wearing that through Toronto and someone yells at you, I would just look at them like they're crazy. Like,
really fuck with them. Really fuck with them.
You live in Quebec City or near there, but still, it's the same thing.
I live in Montreal, which is a pretty liberal-leaning city.
Yeah,
right.
Really
so you got Trump is not
wear that shirt
it's
with a "Make America Great" hat on. So then you really screw with their.
No, I'm going to get it rainbow with just the word MAGA. When they go, what does that stand for? Make America Great. No, make America gay again. Come on. What's wrong with you? Why are you so full of hate?
Yeah. That is hilarious.
It's ma'am.
Walking around Montreal with Trump is not my president shirt. That'd be like me getting a Trudeau is not my prime minister shirt and walking around Orlando. And if somebody
walk around Florida where all the snowbirds will be like,
yeah.
Well, I got my heroic game tonight. Finally, after
I actually have to run soon because.
Well, that's about perfect then, because we've been at it for about 2 hours.
Yeah. No, I have to run. We had my wife's 92-year-old uncle passed this morning, and so we have to head on out there once my older daughter gets home from work. And hear of that.
Sorry to hear that, but he was 92. So
he was 92 and he wasn't very healthy, and
he had a good run type situation.
Yeah, he had a good run, and so he fortunately.
We should all be lucky to live to 92.
Yeah. So that might interfere with my Sunday. I'm not sure. I'm supposed to interview Scott Legault, Rising Phoenix game convention, guy on Sunday night. So I'll see if that's going to happen. I should know by tomorrow.
I want to fuck with him. Call him Legault, which is how you pronounce that name in French.
What's that?
So it's Legault is pronounced Legault in
Legault,
French.
yeah.
So just have fun. Just call him Legault all night.
Yeah.
Is he an American or is he a Canadian?
He's an American, I would assume.
Yeah, he'll be Legault. Exactly.
Yeah, it's Legault. Yeah, thank you, Six Nations, 31 Kings. That's an interesting name. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's a good age to go, and without too much suffering. So that's even better.
Oh, that's a blessing.
And even though it was a kind of a surprise because he went from healthy to needing surgery to not waking up. So, that's preferable, I would say. Unfortunately,
Godspeed and blessings to you and yours. Sir.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, guys. I'm glad I was able to catch you and and do a little bit of chatting. I love the line. Things the U.S. are going to be lit. Yeah, I think they certainly are. I'm looking forward to coming across some of the people that I know are probably really trying, really not coping well with it, and say, hey, you know what? We're just here to play a game. Let's just get right back to rolling our dice and everything like that, and playing our games and
what?
I don't understand.
Crazy? Come on,
who cares about that other stuff? I care more about gaming than I do about who's the president, to be honest with you.
Okay. You tapped into exactly how I feel about edition warring and all that other shit. I care more about the game than what edition you prefer, okay? I care more about the game than your WotC derangement syndrome. I care more about the game than anything else.
Well, you're wrong.
My players want to play whatever they want to play. I'm willing to run it. Oh, you've run 5e. Shut up. Don't act like you have.
I don't run 5e, but I did for a year and a half.
Yes, you did. So stop your nonsense.
I've never run 5e.
Okay, you don't have to.
I run the One Ring. So.
I've only played it about 6 times. I only liked it once, and the other 5 times I was like, I really don't like this system, So it's,
I made it work. I made it work. I took away the long rest, short rest bullshit, and we played it, and it was fun.
You took 5e out of it. You took the 5e out of it.
Basically,
I've said many times publicly and without hesitation, the core system of 5e is a really good engine. It's all the extra shit they added on top of it that fucks it up.
Well, especially Tasha's and Beyond.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Tasha's and Beyond, it was done. It was no longer D&D.
Yeah,
I agree.
But anyway.
I gotta
do whatever. Hey, it's Friday. I hope you guys have an amazing Friday night and a great weekend.
I hope to.
Yep.
I got Codex Albana tomorrow, which is going to be great.
It happens.
I got Heroic tonight, and Sunday's wide open, so that's a nice thing. I'm going to do some laundry.
Nice.
Oh, you're not going to watch the Tyson fight tonight?
Oh, is it Logan Paul Tyson tonight?
Tyson's going to kill that kid.
8 o'clock.
All I hope is that Paul gets his head beat in.
Yeah, I hope he survives. That's what I hope.
Tyson, I'm hoping for a first round knockout. That'll be great.
It's going to be a knockout round 1 within a minute. I already know it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's like I watched a video of Tyson training, and I was like, no way. You couldn't throw me in the ring with that monster. I mean, he might be 50 years old. He's still freaking just beast.
Yeah, he's like 57, I believe, or
he's still beast
or something like that. Yeah, he's
part of that.
He's scary. I was watching him train. He is scary. It was like, damn, he's gonna. I think tear him apart.
In my mind, there's this perfect scenario where he knocks out Logan Paul in the first round, and he also at that same moment in time knocks out Influence Culture at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Boom! It just destroys it, and it's no one takes it seriously anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny Somali got knocked out.
Yeah, and he's arrested, and he's detained in Korea.
I hope they give him prison time. But anyway, you guys have a great one. Take care.
Take care, Bloodworth. All right, I got to go too, James. Peace. Yep. See you later, brother.
See you later. he's 57. Tyson is still doing a fight. I think Tyson's going to kill that kid. Just watching how both of them were training, Tyson is still just rocking that bag. I have a feeling if he lands a blow on Mr. Paul, that shit will be done. But also, yeah, this next 4 years is going to be lit. The memes will flow. All of us will have as much salt as we want. It's just going to be, and like I've said this before, you notice people who lean more to the right are, we're just happier. Even before the election, we were just happier. It's like, it seems like people who lean left, far left, they're just miserable all the time. They're just whining about some shit all the time. If it's not something that happened in the recent time, they're sad over some shit that happened 400 years ago. It's like, why would you choose to be a member of the group that wants to be freaking miserable all the time? That's just doesn't make sense, man. To me, I honor my ancestors and I'll not apologize for what they did. I've got a lot of Scandinavian and Russ blood. Guess what? I'm not going to apologize for what the Vikings did. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be proud of it. You should never apologize for winning. And that's my message to all of you. Never apologize for winning. If your culture, your people, whatever, 1,000 years ago conquered half the freaking world, be proud of it, right? Honor your ancestors and they will look down from heaven and honor you. Dishonor them and they'll turn their backs on you. And then your life is going to suck. That said, I'm going to end it there. Peace and love, guys. And remember, never apologize for winning.